Hey Kirk, if you want to tune your car, you gotta get a standalone ECU, they said. They said it was gonna be fun. Who says these things? Okay, in all seriousness, having a standalone, fully tunable solution for a vehicle, especially when you're changing everything about how the vehicle operates, is probably a good thing. This is where it gets tricky. This is all new to me. I've been learning so much through this whole process with this car, so it's really cool. You know, it's getting into the nitty-gritty of car mods that I never really got into. You know, this is doing a boatload of wiring changes, a boatload of hardware changes, and just complete total modification of factory pieces to make it work the way it needs to. Not to mention learning how to tune a car. That is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and this gives me a perfect chance to learn that without really, you know, costing myself a lot of money. You know, I'd much rather blow this little thing up than my Cobra or the SHO especially. So, you know, I get my feet wet with this, and then I can eventually move on to the other cars, and, you know, I'll be good to go. I'll be self-sufficient. But with the learning has come a boatload of expenses. Not knowing exactly what I need, not knowing exactly what problems are. A lot of times I am just guessing, and I am just kind of throwing money replacing parts. Here's the update on everything. The micro squirt is wired in. It works. The car does work. I did have the car running. In fact, it was running good enough to take the car up the road and get some gas in it, because it was practically empty. As soon as I put gas in it, it wouldn't run right. It really started making me wonder, and I didn't do anything but put fuel in it. Now, one must wonder, is it a clogged fuel filter? You know, I don't know. I haven't really checked those things, though I should have. But one thing I do know is, while tuning the car, what was happening is, like, it would crank, and you would hear a cylinder fire go pop, 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 pop. You know, but it wouldn't actually, you know, it wouldn't stay running. You know, then I would make some adjustments with the fuel table and the timing, and then it would stay running for probably, you know, a second or so, and then it would die. But to me, it had such a weak sounding, you know, combustion. You know, when things are working right, it just has that sound. You know when things sound weak, it has a sound. And that's kind of what's led me to believe that I think I'm having a problem with my ignition system. Oh yeah, power tools make things a whole lot easier. This car is still running the factory ignition system. In fact, I made a boo-boo, and I ended up burning a couple of the spark plug wires by accident on the manifold. So I had to kind of repurpose some of these bad Ford racing wires that I've been keeping around for some stupid reason or another, and I ended up using one of the old coils from the Cobra just to see if it would make any difference. And it was running, but obviously this is completely wrong, and these wires are junk anyways. I really wanted to upgrade to much nicer wires, and my favorite wires, the wires that I've had so much success with, you know, and it's not a brand bias. I've tried all kinds of different wires, and the only ones that ever make my cars run significantly better, like it's noticeably better, are the MSD superconductor 8.5mm wires. Oh my God, best wire on the market, hands down. You know, I don't get it. Like, you know, they always say, oh, well, you know, the impedance per foot makes zero difference. It won't do anything for you. Some ignition coils need, you know, high resistance, you know, or these high energy coils. It doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, then why is every time I use those wires, the car runs better? It runs at idle smoother. It doesn't shake as much. Like, when I took these Ford racing wires off the Cobra, you know, that replaced just regular Motorcraft wires, I bought them because I thought I was doing myself a favor. I took them off and I replaced them with the MSD, and it's like the car was completely different. How it ran. So much smoother. Because I've tried a lot of things, and when you try so many things, you end up figuring out what works best. That's what I got for this. The problem is you can't find sets of MSD superconductor wires for this engine, pre-made at least, that have, you know, the coil plug on one end like that and the regular spark plug end on the other, that isn't like a full, you know, long boot piece like that, you know. So there was definitely a challenge trying to find those. If I changed the coil, then I could do that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if I change the coil, I guess I should go ahead and change what drives the coil. Working on this car, I've noticed that this factory, I don't even think you can really see it well, but the factory ignition module is horrible. And I've been having problems with that piece since I bought this car. In fact, the car ended up stalling on me on the way home, and I didn't know why, but I think I've narrowed it down to the ignition module being bad. So, and it was stupid for me just to replace it with a factory one, a replacement, because they're like, almost $100 just for a factory replacement. I'm like, so for not much more money, I ended up getting a Summit Racing brand an ignition box, control box, you know, kind of like the MSD 6AL or whatever. So that way I have a much more accurate, up-to-date ignition system that should hopefully work a lot better than the factory system here. So with all of that, and plus, you know, going with the aftermarket ECU, it should play much nicer as well. And since I'm removing the factory ignition module, that'll free up some of these wires I don't need in here, and yeah, so. But to prepare for the new parts, I have to get the old coils out. In fact, I'm not even using the factory bracket here, so I'm just going to take that off and get that out of the way. Little weight savings, you know what I'm saying? You know, I got to take these other wires out and stuff and get everything prepped and ready for the new parts that are supposed to come in today. And hopefully we can get them on today in this video, and I'll have a nice running, well, I mean, at least I'll have a running car. The nice part still has to be worked out, I guess. So, all right, enough of me rambling. I'm gonna get working on this. I'm gonna set the camera up and you can watch me bang my knuckles and get myself dirty. All right, well, I got some stuff done. I guess it's probably worth I showed you. So, what I was able to get out of the way here was the bracket that holds on the factory coil packs, and I got that out of the way. Just kind of cleaning things up here as I go, wiping things down, taking care of stuff, trying to just look over everything, and yeah, so that's out of the way. That clears a lot of room up, looks a lot better. Not really sure where I'm going to mount the new coil. Probably somewhere over there, because I want it to look nice and neat. Oh man, so as I'm sitting here doing stuff to the car, FedEx showed up with the box of parts. So let's unbox everything. All right, bam, let's do this. First things first, MSD superconductor wires. That is best wires I've ever used. Let's see here, performance distributors. All right, so this is our coil pack. If I didn't get this brand, definitely would still get an MSD coil, but these have been pretty solid in my experience, so I'll go with what works. And let's see here. All right, there you go. Screaming Demon. All right, let's move that out of the way. And this is what's going to control all of it right here. $100 wine voucher. Who do you think I am, Summit Racing? I don't drink wine. Now if it was $100 whiskey or bourbon voucher, then we might be in business. So this is pretty cool too. I was going to go with an MSD product, but this had good ratings and reviews. It was a good deal cheaper. It's not as powerful as or it's not rated as high as like the 6A or the 6AL box from MSD, but it's definitely more than enough for this car and this application, especially with wires like this that are super efficient and a coil like that. So this is going to definitely be better for higher RPM stuff. It's going to be more accurate. It's got a rev limiter, and I think it has a 2-step built into it as well. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. So needless to say, this is what's going to control my spark instead of that ridiculously bad ignition module from Ford. All my wires, little standoffs here. Still trying to figure out where I want to mount this. I think I would love to mount this. I guess I have to mount it in the engine bay. It's pretty simple. Yeah, run good to the battery, ground there. I'm pretty happy with all this, and hopefully this will give me a lot better and more controlled and accurate spark versus what I had, and hopefully this will fix some of my tuning issues that I'm having, so I can get this car running. So now that this is out of the way, I can go back to work. Next problem, got to figure out where I'm going to put the ignition box. So as far as the directions go, it says place or mount in a space away from direct heat, and don't mount it flat. Got it, or upside down or something. So I know a lot of times you'll see people mount these things right here, probably for good reason. So I think I'm going to mount it right here. It helps cover up that ugly hole, plus that ugly hole can provide cooling to this. The only crap part is the exhaust is on this side, so while that's not direct heat, it's still heat. I mean, the whole thing's gonna be heat under there, but there's really no room over here. I mean, if the battery was relocated to the trunk, I would put it here because it just makes wiring a whole lot easier. Well, actually, now thinking about that, I don't feel like doing all that. But now kind of thinking about it, putting it here would be probably the best. But I am not going through the trouble of relocating a battery right now. I guess I can always relocate it. Oh, decisions. Yeah, I guess for now I'm going to put it over there. I'm going to take out the bracket there that the airbox mounted to and use some of the holes over there and call it a day. There's not really too many places for it. I think I found a proper spot for the ignition box. After some searching around and looking under here, I realized that it'll fit right here, which is perfect, because it doesn't give it away or doesn't put it near direct heat. Like, nothing here really gets hot. Batteries here, everything's easy to get to in terms of wiring. So yeah, that's pretty solid right there. Tucks it out of the way, looks nice, and mount it up. I can get to the rev limiter settings there pretty easily. So yeah, that's a much better solution, I think. So with that said, now I just got to get putting it in. Yeah, there we go. That don't look too bad now, does it? Got it on the... So, because obviously there's an engine still in the way, I could not get a drill bit to drill the bottom holes, obviously. But I got 2 holes in here and the standoffs put on for the top, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is somewhere, I think I have some, if not I'll go get some, is to get some like adhesive foam strips or something and just put it on the bottom. That way it isolates it away from the fender liner there. And yeah, that's a really nice place. I'm kind of happy I took the time and put it there, because wiring wise it's gonna make things easier, even though there was some initial work. But now everything's here. Like, you know, all my power and stuff, it's all going to go right here, you know, to the starter solenoid. Like, it's going to just hook up with everything else like it's supposed to. So there's that part. Now I still need to figure out where I'm going to put the coil. I haven't quite decided on that yet. I think I am, however, going to wrap it up for this video. It's probably getting pretty long now here in the edit, so I like to keep everything at least around 15 minutes or so. I'm going to make another video here finishing up the ignition project. So that's really exciting. So that is it for this video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and if you want to see more content like this, then go ahead, subscribe to the channel, keep a lookout for the next video.